Welcome to Peppershock Media's Marketing Expedition podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in marketing and advertising. Now here's your host, Ray Allen.
All right, welcome to the Marketing Expedition podcast. I'm Ray Allen, your host and president and CEO of Peppershock Media. And today I have a guest with me. His name is Matt Dietz, right? Dietz.
Yes, that's correct.
I want to make sure I did that right. Always wanting to make sure. My name is always butchered all the time, so I just want to make sure.
I just butchered it off air.
Oh, yeah, no worries. And Matt, tell us a little bit about your business, what you do, about you, and then we'll get into some marketing tips and inspiration and insights. But tell me about you.
So, again, my name's Matt. I am a farmer's insurance agency owner. I've owned my agency for 15 years and I sell insurance. So we sell all kinds. We sell home and auto and life and health and commercial lines and workers' comp and all kinds of good stuff. So it's health insurance season right now, so we're doing a lot of that.
Tis the season, right?
Tis the season, yeah, which is good because not many people, the home buying process slows down after school gets in. And so it's nice to pivot to something like that. And I have an agency. My agency's in Eagle. I actually used to have 2 locations. I had a location that you could hit with like a good 8-iron from here, just down the street. But nice. I learned that...
That's Eagle, Idaho, for those that are listening outside of the area.
Yes, for our international population.
That's right.
And I used to have 2 offices, but I found I wasn't making any more money with 2 offices, so we went down to 1.
Yeah, and you can pretty much do what you do from anywhere, really. I mean, it's you're Idaho licensed, but it's all relative because it's meeting with people and building those relationships, and it doesn't necessarily matter where you are located, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. People are buying insurance very differently than they did 10 years ago, way differently than they did 20 years ago.
Right.
People aren't rolling down Main Street and going into their, parents' insurance agency and, hey, Mr. Jones, I need a policy. It's very different. And so...
Well, in your world, I mean, no one really wants to talk about insurance. They have to. Everybody needs it.
Right.
But so, okay, how do you make insurance sexy? Why do I want to talk about insurance?
Because you need to know about it.
I do need to know about it.
Because I have seen, I do another podcast. It's called Simply Explaining Insurance, right? And I know what you don't know, and I know what you have to know, because I have seen the real pain that happens in the real world when people are calling my office and saying, oh my God, this just happened. Do I have coverage for this? And we have to say, no, or this happened if you had done this or if you had done that. So, we're on the front lines of seeing the mistakes that happen. And so, my mission in my business is to help people understand how their insurance works. And so I'm trying to do it in different ways.
Right. With a podcast.
Like a podcast.
I love it.
Right? Every episode is like 5 minutes long.
Okay.
And it's really specific on one thing that's really important.
Okay.
I've done 108 episodes.
Nice.
That's a lot. I thought I'd be dead after 30, right?
What else do you talk about? No, I get it. It's true.
But the content comes to me at this point in my career where I'm just responding to, I still get questions every day that I've never been asked. Hey, if my friend takes my horse out on a path and falls off, are they covered on my homeowner's policy? That was a question that was asked to me. So I find the answer. And
I'm asking for a friend.
Right. Right. And that's an episode.
Yeah.
I go back to my office, I hit record. I'm like, hey, check this out.
This is what I learned.
Now everybody knows. So.
Yeah. Oh, wait. So what is the answer?
Yes, you are covered.
You are covered. Yeah. If it's on your property or just...
Not even.
Okay.
No, your liability will cover you worldwide.
Oh, okay.
So if you're on an international horse expedition in Egypt.
Probably not bucking broncos, though.
You might need to get an extra rider, for that. I don't know. but
probably.
But yeah, so I do a lot on of kind of newer media. So I like doing videos, short 60-second videos, podcasting, stuff like that.
And how do you think it's helped your business? Why do you think it's done anything for you?
I started doing it because I wanted to position myself as the expert in my field. And I finally, I swear, it took me 10 years to really feel like I was an expert in because there's just so much to know,
to uncover and learn about horses and all the things.
And at the end of the day, after about 10 years, I finally started answering all these questions without having to go and ask someone else for the answer. So it took me about 10 years to feel like I knew what I was talking about. And at that point, I really wanted to share everything that I knew with people because it's important. And so I think it's working well. My insurance podcast actually is I do another podcast too.
Which we're pod swapping, right?
We are.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And my insurance podcast actually performs better than the other one.
That's great.
And it's starting to pick up traction in my industry.
Now, do you plug both of them on both shows? I mean, do you talk about?
I've started to.
Good.
Yeah.
So you can cross promote.
I know it's silly not to.
Well, see, and I'm talking about marketing expedition and your journey that you go through. So it's relative to say that you can promote both of them, right?
I just started doing that, and I was like,
good.
I'm like, why the heck haven't I been doing that since the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Because I started them both at the same time.
And do you find that people, when they listen to it, do they come to you, like if they see you in person, or are you finding that it's starting to build your brand, or what's happened because of it?
I've been doing it for almost 5 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I've interviewed like 90 business owners, and I've done over 100 episodes on my other one. And so when I'm after a few years, and when I'd go and meet people like you, or I would meet people.
Well, and you came recommended too from a mutual friend of ours that we didn't really know each other until we said, oh, yeah. And he said, you should do this.
This is how it's working.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
People are starting to lead with, hey, Matt, how's your podcast? Instead of, how's your insurance business, or how's your family, or how are your kids? Like, hey, how's your podcast? And so that's good. I'm totally okay with that because
it gives you opportunities. Are you doing any like endorsements or sponsorships or anything like that?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's all just kind of sweat equity at this time. I don't know. It's a whole new world out there with podcasts and stuff like that. So I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm still tracking my downloads and how many people listen and stuff like that.
Well, because it's one thing to monetize it versus being authentic, and then you have to separate the two. If you have somebody that's promoting you or monetizing, how you can make money on it too. But at the same time, if it's relevant information, then people are really wanting to watch it, and they're subscribing to your channel. And I mean, I did. You've interviewed some of my really great CEO friends, and I was like, I want to listen to the Connie Millers of the world, and I want to listen to Megan Bryan. I want to listen to these people. So
cool people out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So maybe someday you can do some endorsements, but you always have to make a clear message to say, this is a message that's sponsored. It's, so you can make the difference between you being you and then you endorsing something.
Right. Yeah. My show, both of them, I really market like hyper locally.
Right.
Like I honestly don't care if someone from Oklahoma hears my show, because I can't sell insurance in Oklahoma.
Right.
Right. So I know people do. People listen to it all over the place, but I really want to be known locally as just the guy who knows what he's talking about when it comes to insurance.
Right.
At the end of the day,
a lot more geographically fenced within the region that you can serve.
Yeah. I mean, I'm licensed to sell in Idaho, and I'm licensed in Arizona and Texas and Oregon, but I'm not going after those markets.
Sure. But at least you could do it if you had to, or something like that. Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Well, that's good though. I mean, it's good to know your regions and where you can do business, and, or build a referral network in those other places that you can't serve necessarily, but they could refer you, or vice versa.
Tired of people leaving the state. And their business was going with them. So I had I've had opportunities to get licensed in different states. So if they're like, hey, I'm moving to Texas, I'm like, cool, I can still be your agent.
That's cool. So
and
how
Texas
many people do you
than
serve outside of the area, do you think?
Not many.
Not many.
Probably
just
1%. Not even.
Make it worth it.
Yeah. It doesn't cost much. I mean, $50-$60 a year to keep a license going.
There you go.
Doesn't make sense. So it makes sense.
Get an ROI on that investment in other areas.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and we always have the running joke about how all these Californians are moving to Idaho. We welcome them. They want to come. They, as long as they just don't do this California stops, right?
Right.
From an insurance perspective, right? Auto
Absolutely
insurance, you got to stop.
All the way. Feel the weight shift.
That's right.
And then go through.
And then go.
Right. Yeah, I understand. I'm from Chicago originally, right?
okay.
I've been here for 20 years, though, so almost half my life.
Now, do you say it Chicago?
Chicago.
Chicago with a
Chicago, right? So you can lean into it for fun.
Right.
It'll always be my hometown.
Nice.
But I met my wife up at Pullman. We met at Washington State University, and we moved down here together in 2001. And we've both built businesses from scratch, bought a house, had 2 kids, and just love it here.
And how old are your kids?
They 13 and 11.
Awesome.
So we're right in the middle of it.
I'm with you there. I got a 14 and 11-year-old. I know how that goes.
Yeah. So my wife's family is Idaho, she's like 3rd generation Idaho. So we hear the Californians and this and that.
Yeah,
and so I understand, but like everyone that moves here needs insurance, and there's a lot of building that goes up. And so it's good. It's good for business, So,
it is.
So it's all right.
And I think somebody was telling me a statistic now, it's probably off, but it was like there are 800 people moving into the valley within like a couple, like I can't remember the time frame. Wow. It was like within a month or something. I don't even know.
At least.
Probably even more than that. But
every minute.
Yeah, like I don't even know what it is. But
right.
Yeah, it's just crazy how much people are moving here. Yeah. And loving the outdoors and all the things that we have to offer. And Amazon's putting in a thing here. So we're getting all kinds of stuff going on for sure.
I've lived in I think 5 different states, and like this is head and shoulders just the best. I live in North Carolina and New York and Washington and Illinois and
maybe we shouldn't tell anybody. Yeah. No, Idaho's awful.
It's
terrible.
The worst state to live
It's
in.
awful.
Yes.
No, you don't want to live here at all.
No, the sun's too bright.
Yeah. There's no outdoor things to do here at all.
Nothing.
Nope,
no, it's miserable.
No camping,
One
hiking,
long,
fishing, biking. That's right.
Season.
We won't let them come.
No.
So tell me more about what are some of the things that you do aside from your podcast that help you generate new business?
The business at this point in time, like I said, I've been in business for 15 years, and
congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The ball's kind of been pushed down the hill, and so it took, like I said, it took about 10 years, but I have consumed so much coffee with so many people in the valley, and built so many just good relationships with the right people that my phone rings pretty regularly, and I attribute it, I was a B&I member for 5 years, and it completely changed the way that I did my business and my marketing. So they do the whole giver's gain philosophy. It's like you want to give a referral because you should expect to receive something back. I guess that's probably a more elegant way that you can put
Go
that.
givers, like give in abundance and receive.
Yeah, so if I came here and I said, hey, Ray, who do you need to meet?
Right.
And you said, you know what? I'm looking to meet, A, B, and C. And I said,
oh, there's my hit list right behind you. Even.
Well,
people that I would love to do. Yeah, I know. I mean, just think about, right? And anyway.
So if I say, you know what? I know the owner of this and that.
Yeah.
Do you know Nick at Amherst, Madison?
No, but I'd like to meet him.
Yeah, he was on my show. So
there you go.
So like,
see, that's kind of fun, right?
I'll get you with Nick, and then you would be like, well, what can I do for you, Matt?
And how can I help you? Yeah,
because you would have a
reciprocal.
If
say
I
that 10 times fast.
Reciprocal.
Yeah.
Reciprocal. If I got you in front of someone that you really wanted to get in front of, and you would have a human reaction that would be like, oh my God, I need to do something for you now.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's not a business trick. It's not a secret. It's like a human reaction.
Right. And I love people meeting face to face. I mean, you could do an email introduction, but if it's anything like my inbox, email is where things go to die. Because email is dreaded, right?
Right.
But if I can put people in front of, where their human interaction face to face, then it's so much more meaningful, because then you're introducing somebody in person or through Zoom or whatever, try to make those introductions. But you're right. I mean, it's that referrals that you can give, and then ideally then you would receive and because of it. I love that. So,
and then aligning with the people that just it's smart for me to align with people in the mortgage industry, because they have to have insurance to close a loan. It's a formal part of their process. They have to have home insurance when they close a loan at the closing table, you know. And so it's smart for me to go build relationships with those people, take really good care of their clients, always return their phone, just do what's smart in business.
Smart, right?
Return their phone calls, give them great service. I can't do anything about rates because, I don't price my product.
Mm-hmm.
So we just do the best that we can. We educate all of our clients, I think, a little bit differently than if you were buying a policy online. I know for sure that you're going to know all about your policy before you buy it from me.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to throw a price at you and be like, hey, it's $82 a month. And you'd be like, okay.
Well, yeah, you have a really kind of tough industry because there's a lot of people in your industry and there's a lot of competition. So you do have to do things differently and creatively and align with the right people that you want to work with. So I think by all of the combination of the podcasts and the videos that you do and, getting in alignment with people. And I think podcasts are a great way to be able to get to know somebody too, because like you and I didn't know each other all that well. We were just kind of referred to by a mutual friend. And it's great because then now we have this opportunity for us, but then also for all of our listeners too.
I know. The podcasts have they've been great. The business podcast that I do, I love doing because the process of business itself is something that's it's my favorite part about owning a business. Like, I like insurance.
Sure.
I didn't grow up wanting to be an insurance agent.
Well, I imagine a lot of people don't think of that as like a career,
no one does,
right away.
I guess unless you're born into the family or something
like that. Sure.
But I like insurance, but I love running a business.
Right.
I love it. Every day is different. And I started explaining it like it's this puzzle that you'll never finish. That's what it feels like, right? Yeah. But it's fun, and it can keep getting bigger, hopefully,
right. Well, the more toys you buy, the more, land or investments you do, the more whatever, you have more needs for insurance.
Right. The picture gets bigger, right?
Yeah.
And so I love everything about it. I love the challenge of marketing. I love learning how to sell. I'm self-taught. I don't have an MBA. I was going to be a math teacher.
Oh my!
I studied math. And so
you're a numbers guy.
I'm good with numbers, which is helpful. So I'm self-taught. I appointed myself some mentors early on. I'm like, how did you do that?
Good idea.
How did you get to this size? And how did you hire properly? And when did you hire? And I just went in with kind of this natural curiousness, if that's a word, and just wanted to learn so that I could take care of people and build my business. And so I'm a lifelong student. I read books, I listen to podcasts, try and
What's your favorite book?
Oh my God, my favorite book. One of my favorite books that I've read recently actually isn't a business book.
That's okay.
But it's called The Coddling of the American Mind.
Oh, tell me more.
That book is about how it's really written about the generation of probably the high schoolers of today going into college. And really, essentially the book is about how they have been brought up in a quote unquote, safe space.
Coddled environment.
Yeah, but the safe space meant something different when you and I were growing up. Safe when you and I were growing up meant, are you hurt?
Right.
Are you going to die?
Yeah.
Do you have all your limbs? Are you bleeding? Are you safe? Now, safe to these kiddos mean like, this isn't a safe space because you hurt my feelings.
Right.
And it's causing huge problems. And then the book also goes quite a bit into what screen time is doing to their brains and how it's affecting their their ability to socialize and things like that. And so it was fascinating. I think it's a really important read for any parents.
Yeah, I can completely relate to the whole screen time thing. It's like, if you want to have screen time, then you need to go do your chores. Right. And it's like, it becomes this like, forget chore money, right?
Right.
No, it doesn't matter.
It's the new currency,
money. It's like the new currency of
Yeah.
screen time,
That's
right?
true.
It's amazing to me. They'll want to get on, do games and all this kind of stuff, and they ask for more time. They actually have to ask permission for more time,
right.
And it's like it's leveraging to them. Like, well, you need to go practice your viola before I give you more screen time, and then off he goes and practices so he can get. And it's like, this is a crazy reward system.
I know. It's gonna be interesting how we reflect on it in like 10 years or 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, remember that weird decade where everybody was staring at their phones all the time? Like, I don't know if we're going to get away from
like
it.
Tech neck, where you're like looking down
Right.
or, nerd neck, whatever it's called. Like,
I know. So we limit screen time in our house. We track it, and because we know the research is starting to come out on how it's bad, and so kids don't go outside and play anymore. So anyway, that book's been really really good.
Okay,
But
so it's called
the coddling of the American mind.
A Coddling of the American Mind. Okay, I'll have to
Yeah.
put it to my list. Thanks for sharing. That's awesome.
But it would come back to marketing too, because the fact that people are spending really 3 to 4 hours a day staring at their phone,
Yeah.
like I, as a business owner, want to show up in there.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah. It's branding.
You
and
have to show up in their feed. You got to be in their Instagram feed, their LinkedIn feed, or where are they hanging out, or what are they looking at?
Right. There's
and
so many ways now.
And how can you get in that? How can you get in their phone? How do you get in their phone? And so that's something I've been thinking about and learning and studying for years.
Yep.
And I enjoy it. I know that's what you do.
We do. I know.
well.
I'm guilty of being on my phone way more than I
I mean, your
probably
company,
should.
right?
It's what we do for a living.
Yeah.
You know, I'm constantly checking to make sure that everything's good and no weird, comments are being made and how to respond and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you're right. It's definitely a part of the business now. And if you're not online and if you're not in those spaces, you're kind of getting left behind.
I know. I don't know why you wouldn't want to try. I mean, my industry too is full of old white men. I mean, it really is. I mean, and we are not the most progressive bunch, which is good for me because I love this stuff, and there are very few.
That is good for you.
There are
because then
very
you
few
can
insurance
be there.
agents, who are podcasting or doing videos online.
Right.
Really,
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be less than 1%.
Right.
I'm happy to be in that position.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's the next generation. I mean, we've talked about it too, where people are buying insurance online, or they can get their mortgage online, or they can do all of these things without even having to have interactions with people.
I know.
It's
true.
And it's crazy too. And we were talking to, I can't remember who I was, it'll come to me, but how like customer service now is chatbots and like artificial intelligence. And then at some point during the whole entire transaction, do you even actually talk to a person, What
do you think of that?
Yeah.
What's your thought on chatbots? Because I think they're a gimmick. I don't think they're that smart yet. And I think as soon as I know I'm communicating with a chatbot, I have no interest at all. I guess that I haven't had an experience with one yet that has wowed me. That has been like, oh my God, I just booked my flight, with the help of, United Bot or whatever it is.
Right. Well, they try to put a face to it, right?
Yeah.
But that we kind of know that that's not always true, but the newest thing that we were looking at is now people are advertising and creating content specifically for all of the voice automation. So like Alexa and Google and okay, Google, and you ask a question and then the response that's served up can be a sponsored response, like advertising wise, like if it's a recipe, this recipe is brought to you by whatever company who just paid money to have the first thing served up, right?
Have you done any work with Alexa skills or anything yet?
Not yet, no, but it's certainly something that is fascinating to me, like all this artificial intelligence and how it's you can utilize it to your advantage or disadvantage too, because where's the human connection?
So I have an Alexa marketing idea that I'll run by you for fun. I might try this next year, but I got to figure out. I think it can be easy. Anyway, because you can buy those Alexa dots. When they're on sale, like Black Friday's coming up, right?
Oh yeah.
I'll bet you can get them for $25 a pop.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So let's say you buy 10 of these things. What I want to do is I want to strategically target like 10 businesses that I want to get in front of. Ideally, of course, I want to write their insurance, right?
Yeah.
So let's say like I'm really good at writing insurance policies, restaurant insurance policies. Like, we do really well in the restaurant space. So let's say I target 10 restaurant owners and I send them all an Amazon Echo Dot. And I have instructions in there, and I haven't figured out this part yet. I don't know if I need to build a skill out or if I can just maybe link it to a podcast, which I've already done. If you go to any Alexa right now and you go, hey, Alexa, play the Simply Explaining Insurance podcast. Like,
and then boom.
It'll play the newest episode, right? So I've already kind of got in there somehow.
Yeah.
But if I
the
can,
skills, I mean, there's definitely, that's a great place to be, for sure.
So if I let's say you're a restaurant owner and I send you a dot and you plug it in and you get it set up to your Wi-Fi and stuff like that. And then I've got instructions that say, ask it this, and whatever it's going to say, let's just say it's top 5 things that you should do to protect your restaurants, from an insurance standpoint. And then it's just me, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And then I don't know if the skills are weekly, where it would be something where I'd have laid out for the first 4 weeks or something like that. But you're totally Trojan horsing yourself, into this guy's office, right?
Yes. Well, it reminds me of when we used to do the jump drives that we would have preloaded videos that when you plug it in, it automatically played this video. And then you would have those jump drives you could use forever.
Right.
But it would be just like that idea that, oh, here's a jump drive you can have. But then it's like this, like you said, it's kind of like a Trojan horse that's like, here's the secret message that you didn't know you were going to have when you pop this in.
Yeah. And an Alexa is something that will probably be used, more than, so every time they use it, they would think of you. And so even though I would probably have to sell 1 or 2 policies, to make my money back.
Yeah.
So,
well, Google sent me my Google Home, my little Google. I have a Google here.
Yeah.
Okay, Google, say hello.
Hi, what can I do for you?
Very good.
So Google sent that to me and it has my name on it. Like they, and of course they wanted to talk to me about Google advertising because we do a lot of that. So they were like similarly, but it was all just printed stuff. So see, if they were smart, they could have, programmed it to talk to me and tell me about what they want.
Right.
So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think we should pitch it.
I think we should try that. I don't know.
Yeah.
We have to make the Alexa. We have to brand the Alexa, but they're so cheap.
They are.
So
yeah.
cheap
It's a good way.
$25.
The echoes, the dots, the whatever.
Right. There was another guy who told me that he did this idea probably 10 or 15 years ago, but he was buying burner phones, like those throwaway phones.
Oh, yeah.
And he would send them to people with instructions to dial this number at this time or something like that. So it's this total Mission Impossible thing.
Sounds like
but they're going to call you, right? And so they're like, hey, what would you dial a number on a phone that you got in the mail? I'll
It's
bet
a
you
guerrilla
would,
marketing tactic, right?
I liked it. So.
There's this idea. I someday I'm going to do this. So to the listeners, don't steal it from me. But what I want to do, and somebody else has done it before, but I would modify it a little bit. But basically, people would drop wallets. Right. Oh. And like, somebody picks up a wallet and then there's like a card in there for instructions of like who it belongs to. And then they call it. And it's like this guerrilla marketing tactic because now they're going to get like this information that it would be, you're invited. You're secretly invited to this event and you need to come. And like, it would be like a, I don't know, kind of interesting to see how we could do it and track it to see because people would want to, honest people would want to give their wallet back to them. Right.
You want to get your wallet in front of the right people, like, okay, here he goes. Now go. Now drop your wallet in front of that guy right there.
What if you put a $50 bill in it? Wouldn't it be fun to track to see if people like returned it or, maybe they anyway.
It's a total ethics exam right there.
That would be fascinating to watch, but good
fun.
Guerrilla marketing tactic to see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We might have to think about that. We've got some good ideas.
I think so. Let us know how those things go. But I think I'm going to do that Echo Dot thing.
That's cool. That's a really cool thing. Yeah. Seeing how you can get it to program what you want it to say or how you want to, whatever we can come up with to get it to do what we want it to do and get the people who receive it to do and ask it what you want it to ask.
There's got to be a way to get a face-to-face after that though, right?
Yeah.
You got to be able to get in front of them.
One time we did this campaign with a dental insurance company, and basically it was to allow the salespeople to get meetings with the HR directors because they're the ones who do the benefits for dental insurance, right? So we did this video, and at the end, they could fill out this form if they were, interested, but then they would receive a $80 Sonicare toothbrush that the salesperson would then hand deliver to the right person that, filled out the form. And so we knew the interest and everything.
Great.
Yeah, it worked really well because, an $80 Sonicare toothbrush is like, yeah,
that's
okay,
awesome.
I'll take that.
Absolutely.
It was pretty effective because they got to hand deliver it. They got the FaceTime with the right person. And in some cases, they converted people with lots of employees who then now use their dental insurance. So there's an idea for you.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
The other thing that we're having success with is really something that probably most people are doing. Maybe, I don't know, is just making sure you're cultivating your online reviews. It's something that I started doing probably 3 or 4 years because nobody's reviewing insurance agencies.
Right.
Okay, I was in business for 12 years and I looked at I have a Google business page, right?
Yeah.
And I looked at it. big freaking donut hole. I didn't have one review. No one was mad enough at me to do it, and no one really is doing anything with insurance. No one's thought to be reviewing agencies and stuff like that.
Well, and posting on your Google Places page too. People don't always remember to do that, but you're right.
So nothing. Like our industry is really kind of low on the totem pole. Like, restaurants are different, and like they're,
Yelp is a big thing.
Right. But as far as, I think the other thing that I think reviews are becoming more important, but there are more sites outside of Google, like Nextdoor or where these craftsmen are, the plumbers and the electricians. If you needed to go, there are all these apps that you can go to.
Right. Like, was it Angie's List or something?
Yeah, exactly.
And, the Nextdoor app and all those. Yeah.
So a few years ago, I started actually just asking, clients that I was having day-to-day interactions with if they'd be willing to give me a review. And they would say, yeah. So I ended up kind of piecing together an email with a link to get them to my Google
straight
page
to where
quickly.
they needed to go. Yeah.
But I asked permission. I sent the email, and most of them would do it like that day. Now there are services though. Some of them are local that you can sign up with, and they just make it kind of shinier. And so they'll get a text to you, which will link right to your. And so but the premise is still the same. I still ask. Yeah. I don't blast. I'm not going to blast my entire book and ask them for a review.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't think from an SEO standpoint that's smart, right? If you get
a whole bunch of them all at once, it's probably not as good of an idea as to do it periodically. And you're right. You're absolutely right about that. Yeah.
Honestly, my goal is 2 a week.
Good.
Like that's it. It's manageable. We're at 62 right now. And we're probably 50.
So you are a numbers guy. I love that about you, that you want to know exactly how many viewers and how many reviews you have and how many podcasts you've done.
Yeah.
That's the mathematician in you right there.
Is.
And data is a big thing to keep track of.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I think the next person has 18 reviews.
Aha. Well, you're killing it. You're crushing it. That's awesome.
We get calls every week from people, because how are people shopping? They're going to Google.
Yeah.
People moving in from out of state, they're going to say, hey, insurance, Eagle, boom, we'll show up. If they're looking for farmers insurance in Eagle because they have a farmer's agent somewhere else, boom, we show up. And we get calls every week from people. So that's been good for us too.
Yeah, the reviews are great. Google reviews, Yelp reviews, Facebook reviews, right? Yep. Recommendations on LinkedIn.
Right.
I think there was, so I did the 5 R's. Reviews, let's see, recommendations, referrals, and then rewards. So rewarding those who refer you.
Sure.
So I'll have to come up with the other one is.
Now it's just 4.
Yeah, right. We'll go with 4. Until I can remember what that is. Reviews, referrals, rewards. I don't know. People definitely, I think, look at those, especially in the restaurant business too. Yeah. We have a client, Boise Fry Company, and recommendations and referrals. All of those reviews are huge. I mean, and people, but it's nice because if there is ever, not that they ever have issues, but if in referral land, in restaurant business world, if there is ever an issue or anything, you can immediately identify it and hopefully, ideally correct the situation. If there is ever, maybe there was a misunderstanding or maybe, something didn't get done right or whatever the case might be. I mean, we're all human, right? Everybody has that moment, but then the reviews, if they're in location on site, they can instantaneously say, hey, I noticed that there was a review and I just want to make sure that everything's okay. Or, anything that's not a 5-star, you want to inquire, you want to, get that feedback, right? I mean, that's opportunity for amazing feedback, and feedback is a gift.
Yeah.
Right.
And plus it shows some humility if you're responding through the review site itself. So if someone is blasting you, or maybe not even blasting you, but just like, hey, look, this is the experience we had. It wasn't what we were looking for. And if you can see that the owner pops on and says, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And they can see, other people can see that the owner owns it and is just, hey, we had a bad day, whatever, not looking for an excuse, but just being honest, that tells a lot about the character of that owner. And that will fix a bad review.
Right. Well, I mean, in your case, if there's a claim that when it's adjudicated, it doesn't come out right because of whatever reason, right? You have an opportunity to set the record straight. You can respond, you can reply, maybe even correct the situation if it came up and, oh, this, I didn't realize that this happened. Let me, help you with that and let me help you navigate that. And that's a good way. I mean, I don't know if you've experienced that yet,
absolutely.
But, it's good for you to be able to.
We had one today. I had one today where
Yeah.
someone, I got a review because Farmers does their own review cultivating, so to speak. And so I got one that came across my desk and I was like, I'm really upset with my claims adjuster. He's not calling me back. I dislike that greatly because
yeah.
I don't want to lose a client because of something that's out of my control,
Right.
And this Farmers claims adjuster is with Farmers. So anyway,
Yeah.
every time something like that happens, I will reach out to the claims adjuster immediately.
Yes.
I'm like, hey,
Yes.
this is, and I'm nice and professional about it. I'm like, look, this
course.
is my client. This is the feedback I'm getting. They're not getting a
And
return
remember,
phone
feedback
call
is a
from you.
gift.
Yeah. So if it's bad, I'll usually email the claims adjuster, but I'll also CC his supervisor.
Right.
And so they call right away.
But at least it's face to face and human interaction, and your claim is not getting done by artificial intelligence.
their car's in the shop, like they need to get it out. And
Yes.
so
agreed.
this stuff. This is what we do. We should be killing it in claims. That's what an insurance company's for. So,
Absolutely.
So
No,
when those
that's-
go south, I get upset.
Well, I know we could probably talk about marketing all day long, but we're pod swapping, so we're gonna kind of turn the tables just a little bit, and we'll kind of go into your podcast and
Yes.
how you do things from now on.
All right, let's
Shall
go.
we? Yes, indeed.
Okay. So I want to learn a little bit about your business. So tell me about Peppershock.
Well, Peppershock Media started in 2003, and Drew and I, my husband, we began the business after we moved back from Seattle. We're boomerangers. So 16 years of marriage, and then so we got married in August of 2003, and then started the business in October 2003.
Boom. I love it.
So our business is as old as we are married. And then we have two boys, Emerson and Caden, 14 and 11.
Great.
2 dogs, a bunch of fish. We had chickens. We won't go there.
No.
No more chickens.
So why did you start a media company? I think were you in television?
Well, I was always behind the scenes, although I have been in front of the camera. But I mostly enjoyed directing and being behind the scenes. So really what happened is I was kind of in the broadcasting class in high school, and then television put me through college. So I was directing news or technical directing or editing or doing all kinds of things. I was writing, all over the place. And then we did that at first Channel 6 and then Channel 12.
Okay.
And then that's where I met Drew, is at Channel 12, Fox 12 News at 9,
Yeah.
which is now no longer. It's completely demolished. The whole building is gone.
Sad.
Yeah, exactly. And so we met there. We worked there. We were friends for a while. And then after that, he quit. Then we started dating. I want to make that very clear. Yeah. Then we moved to Seattle. He got a degree in video production from the Art Institute. And then I worked on my master's degree while working at Northwest Cable News and the Q13 Fox station.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you moved back here in 2003.
Yep.
And you guys say, well, let's start a media company.
Right. So when we first got back,
was very different in 2003.
yeah, there was no such thing as Facebook.
Right?
What was this Facebook thing?
I know. I'm excited to hear about what
Twitter.
this has been like. So what were you doing in 2003? What kind of media?
When we got back, we both worked day jobs and then kind of moonlighted with Peppershock until it became more and more that Peppershock sort of became its own entity on its own. So
how'd you come up with the name?
Peppershock is a derivative of my maiden name, which is Peppersack.
Okay.
So my full name is Rheanna Lucille Peppersack.
Great name.
So exactly. So it's like a crazy long name. But my grandpa's name is Ray. My grandma's name on the other side is Anna Lucille, and then Peppersack. So when I got married, my last name changed to Allen, but I also still needed pepper in my life, I guess. And so peppershock.com was available 16 years ago. And then most people on one side of the family, not my grandpa Ray's side, but the other side always just called me Ray anyway, or unless you're my niece and nephew, I'm just Auntie Ray to them. But so Ray, R-H-E-A, and then N-N-A is my full name. So R-H-E-A-N-N-A. That's where Ray came from.
There you go.
There you have it. And Peppershock.
There it is.
Yeah.
I like it. It's got a good story.
Yeah.
All right. So what were you doing when you started?
So we started at the very beginning. Drew was doing video production, and I really kind of developed my love for marketing. I was in news, but when I worked at the Fox station, I got to work with the Sonics, the Seahawks, the Mariners, when the Sonics were still around. And
Right,
I met the real Ray
Seattle
Allen.
Supersonics, right? Before they moved to Oklahoma City.
That's
and
right.
broke the hearts
They
of all
broke
the
the
Seattlers.
hearts.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And really doing kind of by afternoon time, I was doing station promotions and kind of helping with the promotions part of it. And then at night, I was either editing video or doing technical directing or directing news. And so I was the main weekend director. And then the weekdays, I would push the buttons basically.
Okay.
And I really started to get more and more interested in the marketing and promotion side, and then learn a lot more in that area. But I was kind of a rover. I really did a lot, especially at Northwest Cable News. They were kind of very limited on the crew. So I pretty much did all of it.
Yeah, like, what do you want to do tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My master's degree is in marketing and entrepreneurship.
Cool.
And so when we moved back, that's really what I wanted to focus on. And so marketing, so literally we kind of married the two together, where we used to call ourselves a hybrid agency back when it was like cool to do, because we literally had the edge on the market, because most of the time the agencies would hire out the creative production.
Mm-hmm.
And so marrying them together became this
Right.
new concept. Now everybody does it. I feel like I was a
Trailblazer.
yeah.
Totally.
But yeah, so we do all the marketing strategy planning, and then we added graphic design. My creative director, she started graphic designer, art director. She's been with us for 13 years.
Okay.
And then we hired Brian, who we used to work with at Channel 12 a long time ago, and just have built up, now we've got 10 of us doing content and digital and
Yeah.
all of the things.
All right, so let me ask you. Things have changed so much in the past 16 years. This is a space that I love to play in for my business. I really like digital media. It's something that I study and do my best on. And I put stuff out in the world. Now, you have a company that's expected to be the expert at this stuff.
Yeah.
So how... it's so new. Like, if you think about like traditional media, like print and television, that was around for decades.
Remember when we called it new media?
New
New
media,
media?
right? All of this stuff is still so, like, Facebook's only really been out, I know that
2007.
2007, then like it didn't hit like mainstream for at least 2 or 3 more years probably. I was an early adopter with a lot of this stuff, but most businesses weren't doing stuff on Facebook until 11 or 12 or whatever.
And I feel like I was pretty responsible for helping a lot of businesses get on into
sure.
this social space, because it was
Yeah.
like, oh, we can't do that.
And that was probably a tough sell for a lot of people.
Well, and some financial institutions like, oh, it's going to violate our
compliance
yeah,
and
exactly.
blah, blah,
So
blah.
I wrote a lot of social media policies for
Okay.
financial institutions and
Nice.
got them on the platform to begin with. And I
Good.
had to travel and train and like explain what social media and what Facebook was and Twitter and all of the LinkedIn.
And it's different today than it was like even 2 years ago. And it's way different today than it was 10 years ago.
Right. Now we have Instagram and this TikTok thing. Are your kids on
know.
TikTok? My
TikTok.
11-year-old is like talking about this TikTok. I don't know. And Snapchat and all of the things.
Right. And so, like we were talking about earlier, it's important, for businesses to try and get into people's phones, because that's where everybody's
Right.
spending their time,
Yes,
right?
on the
So
phones.
so where is people's attention going? So let me ask you, where is people's attention today, and how are you helping businesses get in front of people that way?
Well, and I think the original question was, how do you continue to stay,
Yeah,
on top of the trends and what's
Yeah.
happening? So one of the things that I do every year, it's our annual new marketing trends for the new year workshop. And it's going over all of the new trends. And what I like to do is a year in review, and then look ahead, and then what my predictions were from last year to
good.
then uncover what actually happened
Yeah,
or
well,
not.
are you pretty accurate with that? How are you with that? What's your score? What's your grade?
It's interesting, because some of the predictions that you come up with based on, what the trends are, yes. And some of them, like, what was I thinking?
Right? That'd be fun. It's a fun game.
Where did that come from? Why was I thinking that? So yeah, I've kind of, I would say I'm probably 80% accurate, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
And some of it's just forecasting and trying to understand where the marketplace is going and what's happening. So I like to look at, what was the top branded tweet, or what was the top interesting Instagram post that had a brand tied to it, right? And inevitably, it always is telling some kind of emotional story or having humor involved.
Right.
And now it's trending, and it's kind of almost sad, but yet it's interesting, because now the storytelling that we're doing is for a mobile device without the audio, because people are watching videos without the audio. So all the things that we're working on is audio agnostic, meaning you can still understand the story without listening to it, or we'll have subtitles for everything.
Yeah.
It's crucial. Now, everything that we do for all of our clients, like I make it mandatory that we have the closed captioning, because people will not turn the audio
I
up.
know. Isn't that interesting? Even what about TikTok?
Yeah, well, you have to listen and
There's
understand what's
music
going
in
on.
TikTok, right?
Yeah. And I'm still learning more about how brands can really engage with that, because it's a younger generation, which we know is they're the ones that are going to influence Christmas, right? They're going to influence what mom and dad buy them. But because it's new and it's kind of starting to trend, like, how are brands going to capture that and utilize TikTok to their advantage for the right demographic too? Right. You know, and those of us parents that are on it just trying to understand what's the craze and rage. You know, why do I want to watch a little video about, the haircut that I don't even know.
I mean, it's a lot like Vine from my experience, right?
Yes.
Vine turned into something really legit, But did Twitter buy Vine and then just shut it off?
And just shut it off, yeah.
Kind of what they did?
It just kind of got destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
But to Twitter's, what they did do was with the Periscope, like making live footage happen. And I remember using that. We were at Idovation, this big conference that every year happens, and it's all about innovation in Idaho, right? And this Periscope thing was like, what is this? What is this? And now, Facebook Live and all the things that are out there now that you can do live video and live streaming, YouTube, Ustream was a thing. Ustream? Yeah. I remember the Ustream with a U. Right. But yeah, I think more and more what's trending is definitely mobile first. Right. So all the websites, all the apps, everything out there is just, what can we do to be on your phone? Yeah. To be on your smartphone, and how do we attract their attention? And, what kind of games are people on? What kind of things are they doing with the time that they're spending on all that screen time?
So let me ask you this question. So I think that advertising and marketing on social is really, it's part art and it's part science, right? Mm-hmm. You have got to have good content. You've got to have either a good picture and a good headline and all of that. But you also have to know how to target it properly, and you have to know, or else you're just going to blast it out into nowhere, depending on what your strategy is and stuff like that. So what's the best way to know like what people will respond to when it comes to, how do you write a good headline, or how do you write good copy? And it's something that I've been trying to wrap my head around for a long time. And it's like, I feel like I'm a bank robber that cannot get the combination right, to the safe. And so how would you help someone like that?
Well, I think it all starts with being able to do the A/B testing and understanding what's working, what's not, and then continuing to evolve. So what I mean by A/B testing, maybe you have exactly the same ad that you're putting out or the same message that you're putting out, but maybe you have different audience that you're trying to reach or attract. Or you just change one thing and then you see which ad worked better, which message worked better. Maybe it's the font selection, maybe it's the color, maybe it's the how you word the words that you're, how can you wordsmith it just right? Yeah. And then you naturally go to the one that works best, and then you do it again. Yeah. And then you have all these different iterations until you get what you feel is going to be the best that you can. And then you can take those to non-digital aspects. So now you've tested the message, you've got everything that you know within your audience, and now you can take it to other methods that are a little bit harder to track and test, right? Sure. Like radio or television ads, or things that are not, it's kind of a one-way communication. So those are ways that we try to do things that we can test the messaging and understand our audience and what's going to resonate with them.
Okay, like it.
Yeah. That's definitely one thing that we found for sure.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people out there who are trying to do like paid social reach, and I don't mean people are trying to do it right, with paid ads and the targeting and stuff like that, but they'll try it once and then they don't see anything, and then they're like, well, this doesn't work, and it's a long play. You got to put the work in, I guess, to figure it out. So
and there's tools now that can help you do that too. I mean, it does it where you can set the parameters, and then it'll automatically shift budget to the one that's outperforming, and then you omit the one that doesn't, and you learn from it, and you don't do that again, and then you do what does work. And
I know. Yeah. I've tried that Ad Espresso. Is that a platform?
I've heard of that.
Know it is.
Yep.
But I mean, you can put in 10 pictures and load it up with whatever, $100, and it'll split it up, and it'll like, all right, we're going to run the same copy with 10 different pictures. And it will shift, the funding to the ones that are performing better.
And it's so visual
it's
too.
So smart. It's just,
that artificial intelligence we were talking about too. Well, and like headlines, you were saying, like subject lines, and with all the rules with email and double opt-ins and making it incredibly difficult for people to send emails and then receive them. But we know that there's keywords that will set people right off into spam. Like free in all caps. Like don't do it. Just don't do it.
Can you use emojis in text in subject lines? Is that recommended these days?
It might set it to spam. I mean, you can test it. I would say test it and see what works. I mean, sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depends, and it also depends on how long of a combination of subject line. Short and sweet is always best because then people will see it, read it, especially on a mobile device.
Right.
But there's also certain trigger words that will send it right to
You're out.
Yep.
So how's your team built today? Who you got here?
Oh, so my husband and I, we started again, like I guess I mentioned 2003, and then Angie, our creative director, and we've got Brian, video producer, production editor, and all of the above, After Effects, motion graphics, all that kind of good stuff that Brian does with us. And Drew does that too. My husband, he started in video and he's the COO now, just helping make the company run and do all the things.
Yeah.
And then we've got Brian McKinney is our business development / social media content writer. She's a really amazing writer. So we tap into both sides of her brain.
Nice. Smart.
And then we have Etta. She's graphic designer. And then Alex, digital content coordinator. And Terry, our bookkeeper, and Lorraine, my assistant, and who else? I think I hopefully covered them all. Piper, the Peppershock puppy. She's not here today because I knew we were recording, and she likes to bark, so she just wants to protect her mama. That's just what it is.
That's what they do.
That's right. But
nice. Yeah. So I counted, 9, 8, 9. I guess I'll have to double check. That's a good team you've got together. So what are you now you are the marketing expert. So what are you guys doing to earn business?
Well,
how are you getting in front of people?
Nice to turn the tables there. So one of the things that we started doing, I want to say probably about 2 years ago now is, and we've really kind of honed it in and perfected it, is a marketing audit. And with that is a whole process that we've done where we go in and we audit our company's marketing. We look at their everything. We look at their website. We look at their social media. We look at all their print collateral. We look at, LinkedIn. I mean, take just kind of a peek at all the things that you're doing, just like a CPA would market, and audit your books, right? Yeah. And see what you can be more efficient at, see what you can maybe stop, start, and keep doing. And that's what we do with the marketing audit. And then we come out with an empathy map of who your target audience is. We look at what your brand essence is, your differentiation, your competition, where you kind of stand in the marketplace. We look at what it takes to acquire a new customer. So you're a numbers guy. So I look at customer acquisition cost. I look at lifetime value of a customer. Great. Then I come back and I say, here's some things that we've uncovered and discovered. And here's areas that we feel like you should continue to take on yourself. But here's maybe some areas that we could help you with. And in the stop, start, keep, we prioritize those together. And we identify those that need to get done and that they just either don't have the resources to do, or maybe it's the capabilities that they don't have, whatever the case might be. Yeah. So the audits they're $2,500 investment. It's a really great way for us to work together for just a minute to see how we work together and if we're a good fit for each other. Yeah. And it helps us understand if this potential client of ours long-term is going to be a good partner. Because after 16 years, you kind of start to get a little I want to work with the people that we want to work with. Right. Good for you. You've worked hard to earn that, right? Yeah. I mean, it takes some time to build that, and not always do you get that, but it also gives them a sense of, is Peppershock going to be a good fit for them? Is what they know and their expertise, is it going to help me grow my brand and my bottom line?
So I was going to ask you this. If somebody is shopping for a media company
Right.
for help, what are some good questions that they can bring to the table in the beginning? You know, what should they ask you to know that there's a good fit, or, you know, to kind of vet that you know what you're doing?
Would be a good,
you know?
One of the things that I look at is have they worked with an agency before? You know, what kind of experiences have they had before that they really, really liked, and what did they not like? And it's okay to talk about that, because we want to understand, you know, if there's some things that they didn't like that we do, then maybe it's not a great fit, or maybe it's they didn't like it for a certain reason, and we feel like we could do better in that area that they disliked because of who we are and what we do and how we take care of our customers, maybe differently or better or whatever. And so I like to hear what they love and don't love, and if they're somebody looking to us to say, okay, what kind of experience have they had? Is there anything remotely close to the type of business that I have that they've done experiences before? And maybe not. Maybe sometimes we've actually worked with clients who were looking for somebody outside of their industry, or who have never done anything in their industry, because they wanted to do something different and just be completely outside of the, you know, the proverbial box that you say, the outside of the box cliche, right? Like, like, and I always say, we were coming up with this the other day, that, you know, people want to compare apples to apples.
Right.
Well, you see my office. What color is it?
It's orange.
Yeah, we're not apples. We'll never be apples. You'll never be able to compare us to any apple, because we're orange.
Because we're orange. I love it.
Orange is fresh. It's warm. It's, you know, it's invigorating. It's like something new and different. And that's truly how we feel. Like, we want to disrupt, connect, and inspire.
Awesome. What has been like one of your biggest wins? Like one of the things that like you're most proud of?
Oh, wow. It was really, really awesome when we were nominated and then won Small Business of the Year in 2017.
Awesome.
The Small Business Administration and Boise Chamber named us out of, like, I thought for sure all these wonderful companies that we were in the same division. Like, no way, they're so cool.
That's
like, this
amazing.
is awesome. So that was way cool.
Yeah.
And then I had to go, you know, do the acceptance speech in front of like 400 people. But hey,
how'd you do?
I did all right.
I'm sure
You know,
you did.
I forgot a couple things that I wanted to say, but you always, you know, you get in that situation, I'm sure.
Has that helped?
Yeah.
Did it move the needle, you think?
I think maybe at least it opened people's eyes to, if they hadn't already heard of Peppershock, that maybe they then got to see, because we were, you know, put out all over to say that we won. And, you know, I think it's awesome to say that, we were Small Business of the Year.
It is.
I think that's
it's really
cool.
impressive. This town and this valley is built on thousands of small businesses. I mean, they're the big companies in here, but if you drive down any street, even especially in downtown Nampa, there's like 100 down here right now.
We're kind of like the new Nampa now. I mean, it's like there's all kinds of cool things going on now, which is cool.
Getting shinier.
Yeah.
You know, down here for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you love about what you do the most?
I love to share my experiences and my knowledge of what marketing is about, and I love to help other people build their brand and their bottom line. Honestly, I really like to elevate and grow. And we've had numerous success stories from doing that. And that's what I love to see when, you know, a company, maybe they're stagnant, maybe they're like, they know they need to grow, but they just don't know how to do it, or where to even begin. And when I can ideate with them and strategize and plan and like see where they want to go. And then I can help them navigate that path to get there and go on that journey to get there. And when we get there, like, that's the big win for me.
Fun.
Like, we helped a company go from 2 million to 6 million in 3 years.
Whoa.
And that is like a big, awesome, amazing win for us, because it was like they listened to what I had to say. They did what I told them to do.
You.
They trusted me.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me was like, yes.
That's better.
I mean, I won't lie. There was some trials and tribulations along the way, you know, some healthy conflict.
That's a lot of growth.
It's like they truly just jumped all in with us. And that's like, for me, is the best relationship we can have, when they trust me, even when we know that maybe some of these ideas could be crazy and they may not work. Are they willing to go and, go down that path with me and allow us that freedom to be able to do it. And when it does work, I mean, it's amazing. And if it doesn't, we pivot and omit what's not working and then do another iteration to make it better, right?
Smart.
Yeah.
Awesome. What are some important things that business owners need to know about branding? I mean, it's a big word right now.
Yeah.
Everything's, brand is really important. But what are kind of some best practices for a business owner to know about, building a brand that's consistent and trustworthy and recognizable or whatever? What kind of things do you teach?
So I do culture and brand camp every year, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. And we keep talking. I think next year we're actually going to, not 2020, but the year following, we're actually going to go camping and do a retreat and do culture and brand camp. But
So this one time?
At brand camp.
Brand
I know. I
camp?
totally play that video too.
That's
Which I'm
great.
looking for sponsors too, by the way.
Okay.
Just throwing that out
There you
there.
go.
But I
Where
already
do you
have
guys
a
do
few. This time it'll be at the Silverstone Event Plaza. We just rented the big room. But next year I really want to do like off-site.
Yeah.
At a
Get in
campground
the
or like
woods.
something amazing. And we've been talking about what that looks like, but basically culture and brand camp. So you ask like, what's the branding thing? So when I talk about branding, I talk about it from the inside out. Your employees are your brand. Most people will do business with those they know, like, and trust. We know that. And so if they are doing business with your employees, what does that mean? And what is it that they're saying about you behind your back? Is it good or bad?
Right.
Is it, do they love where they work or not?
Yeah.
And I've had 16 years of practice of knowing who
Are they
doesn't want to work,
promoting you? Right? Yeah.
I mean, I figured out some of these things and I always tell my staff, like, I don't know what I don't know. If you're not happy, you need to let me know so that I know what I can do to fix it or make it
Right.
better or, whatever. But it's true, inside out, branding from the inside out. So when we want to work with a company holistically, we look from the inside out and start with the employee branding and employer branding. And then from there, it's like making happy campers makes then happy customers. So
it.
in fact, that's what my book is about.
You wrote a book?
I'm writing a book.
What is that? What it's called?
Well, it's the working title, but yeah, happy campers, happy customers.
How's the book writing process?
It's been, I hired a coach, like the best athletes in the world all have coaches. So, hey, the best entrepreneurs and CEOs all need coaches too.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So Stacey Ennis is helping me really organize and structure. Like I have so much. And in fact, the last time we talked, she said, Ray, you really have about 4 books here.
Right.
So apparently I'm writing 4 books, not
It's
just
a
one.
series.
It'll be a series.
That's fine.
Exactly.
It's like the Lion, the
But,
Witch, and the Wardrobe, right?
Yeah. I mean, and storytelling is huge for me. So it's going to be, about culture and branding and I may have to separate it all out. But yeah, so what I did to begin with is, sticky note throwdown, which we do a part of that in the audit, right?
Yeah.
And just being able to organize your ideas and moving the sticky notes around and then kind of taking that and then putting it to, paper. It's like on my iPad.
Yeah. Right.
But, and I've also found that doing voice recording has helped me a lot.
Really?
I drive back and forth to Boise and Nampa, or I'm, on the road or doing whatever. Utah's, we have a satellite office there. So I'm on the road a lot. So I will record my voice, and then we've got some new tools that, speaking of technology, that will just transcribe my voice into words. It always says, it always spells my name wrong. And then we're Peppershock.
Peppershock.
Yeah, instead of Peppershock.
It's getting better, right?
It's getting better.
It's getting better. Yeah, that's exciting that you're writing a book. So I read a book recently. I read story branding.
Story branding? Story
brand?
branding, maybe.
Is that it?
Yeah,
Have you read
yeah.
that? I don't know.
Yeah. Story branding. Tell me about story branding.
Well, I was going to ask you, telling stories in our marketing, again, that's something that is being pushed and we're seeing a lot of. Is that any different than it was 100 years ago? Like we've been telling, humans have been telling stories for thousands of years. It's how we've traded information,
well, and it's the culture,
for
right?
centuries.
The story of our culture. And
So did we get away from it, or are we getting better at it? What's the deal with stories right now?
I think people want authenticity more than anything.
Yeah.
And that that word kind of gets thrown around, but stories and really great storytelling helps with that. trust and authenticity, right?
I think it's because there's so much crap out there.
There's so much crap.
Oh my God, for years I've been talking to people and asked them, how do you cut through the noise?
Right.
Because like the Facebook feed has evolved incredibly over the past 6-7 years when you had to start pay to play, right? When they went public, everything went bananas, right?
Yeah.
But remember back in the day when it was like, oh, here's my friend's bird and here's my, my aunt's dog, my cousin or whatever. And now it's just like, oh my God, there's...
Yeah. Well, that's what my grandma uses it for. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. You're like, what's Southwest Airlines doing in here? And why is there an ad for Levi's jeans? And now it looks like a freaking Greyhound bus station. Right. So I think that good storytellers, I think it's the best way to cut through the crap.
It is. And absolutely. And I think more and more people want the story. I mean, like think of TEDx, right? Or TED Talks and the story that people can tell about their one idea. Or EO Talks is another one that we've been doing with entrepreneur organization, Idaho. Anyway, and people just want the authenticity to come through and shine through. And it's like how you can do business with those that you trust because of the stories that are being told and passed down and given to others. And that's the thing, like when you refer somebody, a referral comes with a story. Yeah. It always comes with a story.
This is how they helped me.
This is how they helped me, or this is what they did. And word of mouth, right? In order to accelerate word of mouth, it's having really great stories to tell and having those as tools to do that.
So do you think it's important just to tell, do you think there are bad stories, or do you think it's like for a business owner, or do you think it's something that it's just people are afraid to do because they think they might get judged or whatever?
Probably a little bit both. I mean, we know that word of mouth advertising is great, but if it's a negative story to tell, then that's probably going to spread a lot faster. So you got to be careful, right?
Well, I'm not going to tell any bad stories, so but we don't really have that many negative ones to tell. But for the business owners out there, that are trying to cut through the noise, we all have our small victories. We're all building our businesses the best way that we know how, and sharing that with the world or with your small network humanizes you and your brand and will make people more apt, I think, to connect with you and want to meet you and then ultimately hopefully do business with you.
Right. Because they see you, they hear you, they listen to who you are, and then then it is a judgment call. I mean, absolutely, it's a judgment call. Now, you always want it to be a good one, but
sure.
And it's kind of going back to the employees who work for you too. Yeah. What are they saying about you? How are they saying it about you? What kind of things are you doing to help build the culture that they live, work, and play in? And even more so now, because people will work with you because of who you are as a leader or as a person, not because of the work that they get to do, right? And so we know that people leave a job because of the people that they're working with. They don't leave a job because of the work that they have to do. It's because of the people that they have to work with. So you want to make sure that the environment for them is helpful and that you're in a right alignment with the right clients too. For us, there was a time where we had an amazing cash flow client, but on the flip side, it was incredibly difficult to work with the people that we were working with. Yeah. And I had employees crying in my office, quitting, and it was because of this client, because of the people you had to work with. Right. And it wasn't, so I had to really make some tough decisions because it was great for cash flow, but not great for anything else.
And ultimately, it could have been really bad for cash flow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, it turned into,
if you've got really good people that you're losing and they're part of your positive cash flow. Yeah. So that must have been tough.
Yep, it was not fun because it ultimately resulted in us making some drastic business changes and moving into a different place and making some choice or kind of like choiceful, or I don't know if that's a word. Is that a word? Yeah, I'm making it a word. But just like meaningful decisions to make.
It's the name of your book.
Yeah, right.
Choiceful.
But we had to purposefully make some decisions to know that we weren't going to make as much money if we dropped that client. And so what did that mean? Yeah.
It was a big one.
Yeah, it was a big one.
What percentage of the revenue was it?
More than it ever should have been, but it was a big chunk. And diversification is always a good thing and not relying on one client. They always tell you all of that, but yeah, I mean, and it was coming off the recession and all that kind of good stuff too. So it's like at that time, you kind of took what you could get in some circumstances.
Would you have done anything different? Would you have brought that client on?
Client expectations are huge in setting the right client expectations. And I learned a lot from it. I mean, I probably wouldn't want to do it over again because it's where it got me where I am now.
Yeah.
And I will say that we did get to do some award-winning work because of the client. So, we have Emmy award-winning, which in our industry is like huge for video production.
Sure.
So like I said, it was great for cash flow. We got to do some pretty amazing, cool things with the budget, but just the people were so not in alignment, and it was the most difficult thing. So
Yeah. Well, you're better for it.
all the better for it.
All the better for
Absolutely.
it. Yeah. Well, what does the future hold for you guys? Do you guys have any huge goals? Or are you guys like, you know what? We're going to, we want 10% year-over-year growth? Or like, what's your plan for 2020?
We have been kind of purposefully staying somewhat level where we are, but the next year, 2020, the new decade, now that my kids are in school, full, they can stay home on their own if they have to. Not that I want that all the time, but it's just a different stage for us now. And so now it's time to truly grow more and continue to expand outside of the area.
Cool.
We have clients, outside of this area, but anywhere within a 600-mile radius we can drive in a day. So I always say that's really our entire market is 600 miles away. But yeah, so it's truly growing. I'm going through an accelerator program right now. So ideally, in 3 to 5 years, I'll 10x our business.
What are you learning in your accelerator program? And,
All kinds of things.
and is it through what kind of program is that? Just curious.
So through the Entrepreneurs Organization.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And so just really surrounding myself with other really successful entrepreneurs and
that's a
just
solid
being,
group, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. Well, and I went to, it's called Alchemy in Portland, and it's kind of a regional conference with all kinds of amazing entrepreneurs, and just soaked in as much knowledge as I possibly could, and introduced new ideas, or maybe reintroduce some of the ideas that I had before but just didn't kind of follow through on. Now we're following through. We've got some accountability parts to it. We've got some things that I want to do. Of course, I can't do it all at once, because I would,
You can't. You just can't.
Yeah. But there's definitely some things that we've changed along the way, even just in the, last probably 6 months, that have already shown signs of, kind of just getting us from the maintain to now just, being able to level up, and which is kind of fun because I do that for our clients already. And to now really turn the tables and do it for our own business is just as exciting.
Yeah.
And I love it because now I can apply some of the things that I'm already doing to us too.
Well, that would be really exciting and fun. We're like, all right, it's time for us to do this.
Yeah, like marketing automation, like all the clients we do, like now we're doing it for us too.
Yeah.
Like it's huge.
Like,
it's
how
been
are we
good.
doing here?
Yes, so it's good.
Good. Well, good. Well, I'm all out of questions.
No, that's good because we're probably out of time too.
Yeah.
We'll have to two-part this one, and
Definitely.
that's great. No,
Thank
this is
you.
good. We've had some good conversations.
Yeah, it's been just a pleasure getting to know you a little bit, and I've seen Peppershock for years. I've driven by your space where it used to be, and I was like, that's a cool name, and so I've been aware of you, and then having you say hello at the the business.
Where I crashed your podcast that you were recording.
So that was outstanding. So that was a great greeting.
I didn't even see the microphone. I didn't realize you were recording. I'm like, oh, hey, hi.
Okay, hey, just a sec. No, it's been a pleasure. Sounds like you guys are just doing awesome, and I really enjoyed your energy and everything that you've brought, and this is awesome. So
I'm glad it all worked out, scheduling wise and everything. So thanks for dropping by, and I'll give you a tour of Peppershock before you leave. And thank you.
Love to see it.
And we'll thank our listeners.
Thank you, listeners.
We've got both of them. So the Marketing Expedition podcast with Rhea Allen and
the None of My Business podcast with Matt Dietz.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Expedition podcast. Find more online at peppershock.com.